Welcome to the channel. I'm the Scottish Astrologer, and in this video I want to talk to you all about my own personal experience regarding my first Saturn return, which landed on February 1st, 2020. Now, a Saturn return, for those who do not already know, is when Saturn comes back or returns to the position in which it was at the moment of your birth, which takes roughly 29 to 30 years to do this. And thus, everyone has a Saturn return when they are around 29 to 30 years old. For me, I was born April the 18th, 1990, and Saturn returned to my birth chart position again February the 1st, 2020. So a couple of months shy of 30 years for me. Now, a Saturn return is generally about reaching a level of maturity and learning tough, usually beneficial life lessons. Tough life lessons, though very beneficial and needed. A Saturn return helps most people learn to do some of the things in life that was too difficult for them or too unbearable for them to cope with before. Saturn returns can also put you into a depression or a depressive state for a time, something I now know all too well about. Maybe the year 2020 in general made that worse, but for sure the situations this Saturn return has brought into my life to make me a better, stronger man, I hope, is for sure the main reasons for my current mental state. I even had to take 3 months away from making videos, etc., as I was not in a fit or right state of mind for it. And to be honest with you, I am still struggling a bit, but getting there, one day at a time. For reasons I will explain, even though it's hard for me to talk about some of this, but I will. Again, as I did promise back on my original Saturn return video, talking about a Saturn return in general, I did promise when I had my first Saturn return that I would make this video and explain what happened in my own personal life through the Saturn return, and if it harmonised with my Saturn return chart, which again it does, which I'll make clear in this video. Though I will warn you now, if you don't like hearing sad stories, then I warn you this video is not for you. It's going to be more like a therapy session, as I am truly going to bare my soul to you all. Now, the chart on screen now is my natal chart, my own natal chart. And as you can see, Saturn is located in 25 degrees 7 seconds of the zodiac sign Capricorn. And the chart popping up now is my Saturn return chart, showing the exact moment when Saturn returned to the exact position it started at on my natal chart. And as you can see, Saturn landed in my 8th house, which is the house of battles, death, transformation. Also, Saturn is conjunct Pluto, planet of hidden and mysterious forces, deep questioning, and your deepest rooted emotional issues that you keep within. And Pluto is located just outside the 8th house, so in the 7th house, as you can see here. And the 7th house is a house of my relationships, partners, contracts. So with this alone, I was expecting a tough Saturn return that could potentially end my 13-year relationship with my partner, the woman that I love and the mother of all my children. And on top of this, the Saturn return was also showing it could bring to surface my deepest rooted emotional issue that I have kept within and pretended it doesn't really affect me for so long, which I will talk more about later in this video, even though it is tough for me to do so. So I was always expecting a battle of this kind of nature, as well as a financial change and or battle, as Uranus is making a square aspect to Saturn from 2 degrees of the zodiac sign of Taurus, as you can see on this chart. And Uranus is the planet of sudden changes, disruptions, and new situations. And Taurus is the zodiac sign of money, finances, and material goods. And so obviously this is clearly showing my financial situation changing in a negative sense. I was unlucky enough to have my Saturn return when Uranus and Saturn briefly made contact in a square aspect in 2020 before again drifting out of square until 2021, which we're here now. Now, Saturn and Uranus coming into square aspect is a 22-year cycle, so it doesn't reoccur for 22 years after they finally leave this square aspect at the end of 2021. So again, the fact my 2020 Saturn return involved this tough square aspect made it clear I was going to be challenged financially. And that is very, very true for reasons I will get into soon. As Uranus is located in my 11th house of friends and projects, I also knew this area of my life would be affected, as it has been. Not really had much contact with friends and been involved in many projects during this time. So that much was legit. Again, once I go over all the astrological elements involved here in my Saturn return chart, I will give you all the details about what has and still is taking place in my life that directly relates primarily to all the astrological elements or energies involved here. Now, moving on, next thing to come into play on this chart is Mercury, planet of thoughts, communication, exchange, intellect. And Mercury is located in the zodiac sign of Aquarius, the sign of change and technology, etc. And it's also located in the 9th house, the house of higher learning, spirituality, higher knowledge, visions and travels. And Mercury is also making a tight sextile aspect to Saturn, again, who is located in the 8th house. So I expected my ability to communicate the higher knowledge with my YouTube channel, etc. I expected that was going to change through my Saturn return. And as most of you will know, it did. I had to take 3 months off, and I am still quite struggling, to keep up with consistent, frequent content due to my current situation, again, which I'll explain soon. Now, the last planetary influence to come into play in my Saturn return chart is Venus, which is the planet of love, beauty, money, and children. And Venus is exalted in the zodiac sign of Pisces, like she was on my natal chart, as you've seen earlier in the video. And so I knew something involving money, my children, or one of my children, and what I love to do in life, like astrology, would also be involved during my Saturn return. And as Venus is located in the 10th house of career, destiny, and social success, I expected change here through children mainly, and that is exactly what has occurred. Now, I am a great believer in the fact that if you know what to expect astrologically, then you can better prepare or position yourself and make maneuvers to avoid or to limit damage, if you like. And in some cases, that is, of course, true. But sometimes, like I have learned firsthand here through my knowledge of what to expect here, that sometimes you can't prepare or position yourself or limit damage. Sometimes the gods, if you like, make sure that we experience in full what they have in store for us, and foresight or knowledge of what to expect does not help. So, to begin with, although unrelated to my personal Saturn return experience, not long after the point of my initial Saturn return in February, the world begins to lock down due to a pandemic, whether orchestrated or not. So now I am thinking to myself, this will definitely make my Saturn return experience a lot more interesting or tougher. Okay, and it was a lot more tougher and difficult, especially with what I knew to expect to come astrologically. Okay, already I knew this well in advance before the year 2020, the year of the pandemic. And so when you get close to your Saturn return point and then this happens in the world, it's interesting to say the least, knowing what's still to come for you. Now, it was around the time of my Saturn return where me and my partner really started to get concerned with my then 2.5-year-old, Noah, my youngest of 3 boys, aged 12, 7, and Noah, now 3. Now, we were concerned with his development, okay, his progress and behaviour, as like I said, I have 2 other boys, and by this stage, they were both on a much more advanced or different level. Now, my worries were and are the fact that we had not, and still not, he's still not spoke, okay, any words. And he had not at that point and still hasn't now. He communicates through sound and action, like pointing or nodding, and he has extreme sensory issues through loud noises like sirens or school bells going off, etc. Really affects him. And also sensory issues through tastes and textures, and all this when he does not like the sensory issues come into play again, and if he doesn't like it, he'll react really badly with it, okay? And he gets extremely upset, okay, to the point where he's, you can't calm him down, and it gets really wearing, and he wears himself down with how upset he gets over things that most people wouldn't get upset by. Again, loud noises, tastes, any slight thing. He's also a very, very picky, fussy eater, and it is a very difficult task each day to get him to eat properly. It's extremely stressful and worrying as a parent to try and deal with this and get him to eat all the right food, nutritious food, etc. And on top of this, Noah is also awake, okay, most of the time, even at night, and he stays up until at least like 3, 4, sometimes even 5 o'clock in the morning. It's amazing to wonder where the energy comes from, but it's extremely tiring and extremely stressful, as you can imagine, when you're so tired, but you just have to stay up, until he goes to sleep, because he needs so much extra care and attention. Like I said earlier, he gets highly upset, he's highly emotional, okay? And if he gets upset, it can take sometimes half an hour to calm him back down. All the while he is screaming, hitting out and throwing stuff around, which obviously he is able to, throwing stuff which he's able to. He's very strong though, and when this happens, it's the most stressful, tiring thing I have ever experienced. And this happens quite a lot for the smallest of things again, like if you have to say no to him, or if something he has lined up in a certain way is accidentally moved, it sets him off big time. As what he likes to do most is to just sit and build things from Lego, etc., or other kinds of blocks. Now, the things he builds are always symmetrical and like color coded, in the sense he will only use like 2 different colored blocks when he builds. He also loves playing with toy cars, but he spends hours just lining them all up perfectly. He's also very difficult in the sense that he will only let me get him milk or juice, and he only accepts it from me, and he'll just freak out if my partner tries to get it for him. He's also still in nappies, as it's obviously difficult to potty train him. And he also does not like to actually get his nappy changed, and makes it very difficult to change his nappy when it needs changed. He'll freak out and make it hard, grab it, hold it, stop you in any manner he can from changing it. So every time he needs a nappy change, it's a fun experience, shall I say. I'm joking, it's stressful, but what can you do? Now, we are in the middle of getting a full diagnosis for him, but it's obvious, and we have been told and had it confirmed by every health professional that has seen him thus far, that he is highly autistic and obviously has special needs. So, as you can imagine, this is difficult for me and my partner to cope with. It has put quite a real strain and pressure on our relationship, but we are still together and will remain together, okay? Hopefully makes us stronger. It's just tough, like having to go through this and juggle work and career and homeschooling, lockdowns and everything else. This, as well as what else I am about to talk about, have honestly affected my mental health. I'm depressed, I'm tired, I'm worn down. I'm really struggling right now, and I can admit it, okay? I can admit it now. I had to take 3 months off, okay, of my astrology work, my career, to try and get myself together and also provide the high level of care which Noah needs. It has got to the stage now where I have had to leave my work, okay, my day job, in order to look after Noah and get my head straight. And I didn't like the job anyway. I was treated bad there, to be honest with you, but I have to leave for this due to so much work and so tiring. And again, he will only accept bottles, juice from me every time a nappy needs changed. It's so hard to do it on your own, it's a 2-man job here. So yeah, I've had to leave my day job and I need to get my head straight here, and also to try and save my career, which is my astrology work, which again I had to put on hold. I had no choice with all that's been going on and is still going on right now in my life. Now, this is only half of what my Saturn return brought into my life, which has really affected me mentally, etc., and physically. It's quite drained me, tough, to be honest with you. And I know people have went through a lot tougher things like this during the pandemic, etc., and in life in general. But again, this is my Saturn Return experience that I'm sharing with you, okay? So I'm not trying to look for any sympathy. I don't want anyone feeling sorry for me or anything like that, okay? I'm just sharing with you my Saturn Return experience and what happens in real life, okay, with a Saturn return, what's happened for me in real life with a Saturn return, and how it totally links to the Saturn return chart in every way. Now, what I'm about to say to you now is something I have kept within for basically my whole life, as it's too difficult for me to talk about or address, as it hurts too much and it truly upsets me. But thanks to this Saturn return, I did address it, and I am now able to talk about it, even though it still hurts and has truly affected me, especially mentally. So this Saturn return has gave me the maturity or strength now to deal with this head on and talk about it. And especially to talk about it with my partner and my mother properly, okay, talk about it properly. And again, that's something I was not able to do until now, 13 and 30 years later, okay, 13 years partner, 30 years later for my mother. Now, some people might think this isn't too much of a big deal, but for me personally, it is, it has been. And my deep-rooted issue being the fact that I grew up without a father, okay? He left me and my mum when I was just about 3 months old, just a baby. He left my mum to bring me up as a single, struggling parent, and he's never paid one penny towards my upbringing. Now, he was just 19 years old and a DJ and a ladies' man back at the time, okay? And that's no excuse. I am just trying to paint you all a picture of the situation. Now, this really hurts me, and so I have just kept it deep inside and tried to not think about it, and have never been able to talk about it as it hurts, it upsets me too much. And so I have never tried to find him or contact him until not long before my Saturn return. For whatever reason, I just had this urge all of a sudden to try and contact him and hopefully meet him and get his side of things, okay, his side of the story, and try and understand why, get all my questions hopefully answered once and for all, and get some peace from that, hopefully. That's what I thought anyway. So I tried to track him down and make contact with him, but after trying for months, I eventually just had to give up as I could not make contact. I couldn't get an address, a number, and he never had a Facebook account or anything. He was basically invisible, like a ghost. So I just had to leave it, okay, no other choice. I failed in trying to track him down. Now, a few months went by until roughly September 2020, when Saturn moved back through retrograde and once again landed on my natal Saturn position, 25 degrees of Capricorn. And it was around about this point when I decided to, for whatever reason, I don't know why, check once again on Facebook to see if by any miracle he now had a Facebook account, okay? And to my absolute astonishment and surprise, because I was expecting disappointment, to be honest with you, just like last time. But this time, I checked, typed in his name, and there he was, okay? Because I know what he looks like, I've got pictures, I've seen pictures, I know exactly what he looks like, who I'm looking for. So there he was. He had now actually made a Facebook account. So I was thinking to myself, maybe he knows I am trying to find him, as I had messaged a few people who I hoped could help me, get contact with him, to no prevail. So again, I was thinking someone must have told him, and that's why he was now on Facebook. That's why he made this Facebook account. In my mind, this could be the only reason that he would have made a Facebook account after not having one before. So after a while, I managed to pluck up the courage and finally decided to message him. Because it's strange, even though I was looking for him before, trying to get contact, but when I actually did manage to find him and have the chance to message him and contact him, it was like I couldn't for quite a while, to be honest with you. I had to pluck up courage to actually be able to do it. So again, after a while, I finally managed to actually pluck up the courage and finally decided to, bite the bullet and to message him and give him a chance if he wanted it, and to let him know, he has 3 grandsons now, etc., etc. And to this very day, I am still waiting on a reply. I know he's read the message, and I've been checking his Facebook, and he's been updating things on his Facebook account since I messaged him. So I know he's seen the message. He just hasn't bothered replying to me, and that truly stings. It hurts me deeply, even though I pretend it doesn't bother me at all. I've been pretending it doesn't bother me, but it bothers me, obviously. Rejection like this truly and deeply hurts, and I wouldn't wish that this feeling on anybody. I feel different now, as if a part of me has died or something, okay? And I also feel a bit of shame that someone so heartless, okay, so cowardly, is actually my father. I'm quite ashamed to actually come from this man, from this individual. Even though I have inherited quite an interesting bloodline from him, which I'm going to make a video about very soon. But that's like the only bonus. Coming from this man personally, it's truly troubling for me, because it's hard to accept that someone so callous and cowardly is actually where you came from. That stings. I hate that feeling. And again, before my Saturn return, I could barely talk about my father situation, growing up without a father. But now it has gave me the strength and maturity, if you like, to be able to share my pain in this respect with you all now. Something that is hard for me, and I could never do before this point, but I am now. I'm bearing my soul with you all here, what I'm going through, what this Saturn return has brought into my life. So yeah, everything the Saturn return chart said would come into play in my life has indeed done. And these things, these issues of mine have been the reason I have not been very active recently on this channel or on social media, etc. And I've had to, turn down interviews and a lot of opportunities, to be honest, because I'm just not being in the right mental state at the moment. And of course, I've not had much time up until now. Now I've left my day job, I'm going to have more time for this channel. But up until now, I've not had much time at all, just brief periods. And again, I've not been in the right mental state. It's like feeling down a lot and just can't be bothered even making these videos, even though it's something I love to do. Truly is. But things are starting to ease up a bit more now. I'm still depressed. I'm still not feeling 100%, but I'm starting to feel a little better. And again, now I don't have the day job to worry about. I promise I am going to do my utmost from this point on to split my time between family, of course, and doing astrology videos and readings, as that these are the two things I love most in life. So this is my first Saturn Return experience. If anybody wants to share their own Saturn Return experience, please do in the comment section below. And if anyone wants a Saturn Return reading or any other reading, then please visit my website. I will leave a link in the description box below. Okay folks, I'm going to bring this video to an end. I truly thank everyone who sat through and listened to this, watched this video. Truly appreciate that. Please like, share and subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to hit the bell at the right hand side of the subscribe button. Until next time, take care, and thank you once again for listening.